Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Roadblock here. So I just wanted to take the time to make a really quick video. This video is mostly for my clan, but also talks about Hydra in general, and I will also show you guys my team, um, real quick, just so you guys get an idea. So one thing I wanted to point out, I was just taking a look. I was about to go to bed, and I noticed that I had quite a few people uh, attempting brutal and just wasting their keys. I don't want this at all. Um, while I want everyone in my clan to use their keys 100%, please don't waste them on content that you're not able to do. So imagine for a second that Van Damned here used his keys on normal. So on brutal, he was able to do 954k. On normal, all he needs to do is 1.67 million. He's almost there on brutal. If he had used his keys on normal, he likely would have done enough to at least get the novice chest, if not the second novice chest. This is kind of important. I've said this multiple times. I don't want players in our clan to make sacrifices, um like sacrifice their own good of their account for um the clan. And so what I mean by that is, you know, while I would encourage you to save your books and save your Great Hall bonuses and all of those things that we talk about for Clan v Clan, if it's a detriment to your account, like if you need to push something, I'll be honest with you guys. Like when I'm pushing my faction wars, you can see I'm almost done with faction wars. I'm very close. Um, when I was pushing some of these faction wars, I was burning books outside of Clan v Clan. I was burning um, energy and silver and using resources so that I could get over some of these humps. And so I want to be clear that you guys need to make the right decisions for your account. The right decisions likely is not going to be doing the highest difficulty of Hydra for zero gain. I mean, if we look at your battle list, nowhere in here do I see a Mithrala. And Mithrala is just flat out great for Hydra. So if you're not using Mithrala for Hydra, that means you don't have her. And that means you used 3 keys this week and you will not get any fragments towards a Mithrala Lifebane. And I believe that's a mistake. Um, and so these are things that I want you guys to be taking into consideration. Use the keys on the content that you get. If your concern is like, oh, well, you know, if I only used all my keys on normal, I'm not getting you enough points, for Hydra Clash or whatever. Um, you're still generating points. I mean, we're not going to win Hydra Clash on the backs of people that can do 191k. We're gonna win it on the backs of people like Bonk and myself that are able to do much higher numbers. So you guys need to do what's best for your account. You want to be working your way towards Mithrala Lifebane. If you're doing Hydra, that means doing normal. Even if you're only getting the novice chest, you're still going to be getting fragments to work towards her. Now, and we will continue to. This is a dialogue. We're going to continue to work on this. I'm going to continue to encourage you guys and talk about how to succeed. Now, this is my best team that I'm about to put together here. And it's not perfect. I do know that there are certainly some changes that I can make within the composition of the team. So Mishinaki, Mithrala, um, where is he? Pythion, Newt, Molly, and I always forget who my last person is. Like every single week, I sit here and I stare at this screen, and I'm like, it's one of these people. I know it's one of them. I don't know who it is, but it's one of them. Oh yeah, Artak. There it is. Okay. So this is my usual team. Now I use a couple of things about my team that I want to go over. Pythion is extremely high resistance, 443 resistance. Same thing. Well, for those of you who don't know how Mithrala works, the reason she's so good, well, she's good for a lot of reasons, but Also increases the champion's resistance, the amount of by which it is increases equal to the amount of accuracy this champion has. So you build her with really high accuracy, and that duplicates into her resistance. So while she has 375 accuracy, she has 98 plus 375 accuracy as her overall resistance because of her passive ability. And that's one of the things that makes her so great. So I have two very high resist champions. These are often considered as tanks for the head of Torment. I bring Artak for AoE HP burns. I bring Newt for HP percentage damage. Molly I bring for taunt. Now I want to be clear, I'm not going to save the key today because I plan to experiment later on in the week with my team. Pythion is my best support, and that is why I bring Pythion. However, that being said, I am seriously considering substituting in a different healer for Pythion. One that can potentially heal in a more in a way that doesn't bring block debuffs. Um, because I sometimes have a tendency to give that to the enemy via the Head of Torment. But this is my most successful team. It's the one I consistently use. It is multiple legendary. You'll see I have Brimstone on every single person. So these are my high resist tanks. I have Mishinaki to remove buffs on the enemy team. I have Molly to taunt the head that clears buffs. Artak brings HP burn, so when the poison head is out there, we can still put debuffs on the champions. And then Pythion is my cleanser, so is Mithrala, which is why I don't necessarily need Pythion. And then Pythion also is my healer. So we're gonna go ahead and do this. Like I said, I'm not gonna keep this key because I'm not gonna go too crazy on it. I just kind of wanted to show you guys the gist. So we've got the head of Torment. I think this is the head of Mischief. I keep saying Torment. I apologize. The head of Mischief is the one that will steal our buffs, um, and is probably one of the more frustrating ones to deal with. Which head is this? The head of Wrath. Yeah, the head of Wrath. The more you hit him, he's likely if your teams are dying, it's likely because of the head of Wrath is the one destroying your team. Um, whoops. That's not what I wanted to do. We're just gonna start over. um, we've got the head of torment. So okay, so the head of torment is in here right away. So I'm actually probably gonna substitute somebody out um, for my Ishmael. Um, or not Ishmael, Inquisitor Shamil. And then this is the head that needs to be taunted. For the sake of this video, I'm not going to worry about this head for the moment, but this is a head that can cause a lot of problems. Inquisitor Shamil is a very good counter to this head. Um, who would be... You know what? I might substitute... It's just for the sake of it. We're going to substitute Artak out, which is crazy to me because I absolutely love Artak and his AoE HP burns. But I still have some HP burn here in Mishinaki. And Inquisitor Shamil is going to speed things up. Now, who do I want to have sped up? Likely somebody that has an aura. What's his? Dungeons? No. All battles. That'll increase her resistance as well. This will give me survivability. All right, we're gonna stick with this. Again, this is where it's such a thing that I want to tinker with so much. So right out the gate, I am going to taunt. Molly is an amazingly good taunter for this head. He is the only tauntable head, but she places her taunt. So when the poison guy is out here, it doesn't stop it from happening. Because this guy can steal buffs, I am not going to put this out here. I am going to try and kill down this head because this is the one that's going to cause me the most problems. Now you'll see that this head's taken a lot of damage. That's because Shamil, with his passive, stops my team from getting feared. I'm not going to use the Hex off of Mishinaki at the moment. I'm going to go for the decreased defense instead, and that is simply because um, I want to use Mithrala's Hex instead. Okay, now you'll see we got stolen there. So that right there is why I bring Mishinaki. And you know what? Now that I think about it, Inquisitor Shamil is a really good option to go against that. Um, but this is why I bring Mishinaki, because I can remove that buff. A good option that many of you will have is Sun Wukong can do the same thing. So if you're bringing Sun Wukong, just save his remove buffs for whenever they take it. But again, I'm going to try and focus this head down. This is actually a pretty easy week for me, and I'm really excited to do this. You'll see that I'm going to get a lot. Now, the only downside to Shamil is that he's not great into this head, because this head is going to do a lot of damage. But I do bring a lot of taunt, or I do bring a lot of survivability with this comp. So I'm getting huge shields from Mithrala, and then I'm also getting healing from... You see, this is what I'm talking about. See how they stole the buffs there? It can be quite frustrating to deal with. Now, I am going to hit him here, and you'll see that decreases some of the debuffs, but because he stole the counterattack, he is going to be able to come in there and do that. I'm going to save the taunt here, but I'm not going to hit this head, at least not with her, because I need to remove the buffs on it. Now Shamil can kind of act in that capacity. Now see, this is where it spirals out of control. So I really need to have Mishinaki to remove the buffs here. Now I need to target people that aren't gonna hurt my team as much. And so we'll hit this guy, because he's not really gonna, when he counterattacks here, he's not gonna, you know, destroy me or just absolutely devastate my team. We don't want this head to get counterattacks. When this head gets counterattacks, they automatically target whoever has the most buffs, and will then, if it's not Mithrala or Pythion, they will steal them. Now, Mithrala and Pythion may not be the best choices for tanking of this head. They're just who I have built with high resistance for other content. I also have a very high resist ultimate Death Knight that can serve in this funk capacity, and I have him built very, very slow as well. And the reason I build him very slow is so that he will I build him very slow so that he will not lose the debuffs on him and will be more likely to get targeted, which is a thing that you can do. Now you can see this run is going really, really well for me. I almost have this head down, which I'm very excited about. In fact, I'm probably going to kill it this turn with Hex on it, because we're going to hit it hard here, because that attack ignores defense, and then we come in here with Blessed Bash. We did get some weak hits because this isn't a great matchup for him, but now with the Hex from Mithrala and then putting down Mishinaki's A2, I get decreased attack and decreased defense. I do have some people dying here. We're going to cleanse and shield up just so we can survive, but the reason that I got so low was because of this big hit here. She's not going to have her cooldown anyways, so we're going to use her to revive on this one instead of Pythion there. And the main reason that I wanted her to revive there is just because I wanted Pythion to get the heal out, so I can kind of recover the HP of my team a little bit here. You'll see they did steal some of the stuff, some of my buffs. Again, this is what I'm talking about. They get that block debuffs, and now I'm no longer able to apply that stuff out there. I did consider having Molly in the lead instead of Mishinaki, so because Shamil speed boosts people, and I would love to have Molly putting out her taunt more often, but right now for what we're doing, we're okay. So Shamil decreases the debuffs whenever he uses his A1 to attack, so he is able to remove some of those buffs, but he is not as effective as Mishinaki. I'm able to apply the taunt so that they cannot cleanse these debuffs, which is way more impactful when I have my Artak out there, but for now we're doing good. So he spreads, and now he's dead. Okay. So now things will be much easier. We don't want to kill this head because we gain a lot of speed from it. We're probably just going to try and kill this one next. If I have a positive affinity matchup against this head, I will use it to get high amounts of damage in. But if not, then I would target something else. We'll heal up the team a little bit there. Let's get a little bit of damage from the Thrala. I didn't really mean to click that, but it works. And then, yeah, so... Alright, so now he's stolen one of my top guys, but I can come in there with Blessed Bash. I will likely get hit hard from this. So I'm going to pay for that here in a second, because he is at 12. When he gets to 15, he does a big AoE attack on my team. So we want to heal up before that, and we're not worried about buffs being stolen either at the moment. So you know what? Since we're kind of strong, I'm going to try and proc him. We're going to get the shield first, and now I will come in here and proc him. And there we go. He big hit. That was a big hit, but I had my shield up. So I'm able to survive that. And so this will likely be my final team. Like I said, I'm not going to keep this key. And I mean, I'd be doing this for 20 minutes, but it's already pretty late and I have work tomorrow, so I would like to go to bed. But I kind of wanted to give you guys kind of a brief look into kind of how I operate and what my plans are for this. Or this is how I do Hydra, to kind of give you guys an idea of what you may be doing wrong. So we're going to free regroup that, and then let's talk about champions that are great for Hydra and why they're great for Hydra. Some of them you may have, some of them you may not. So if we go to champions and we go to my roster, Artak was a free champion that many of you may have. Artak is a great Hydra champion because he brings a lot of AoE HP burn and a lot of N. So he brings AoE HP burn, but he also activates those HP burns, which is very handy because you can do it right before the taunt goes off. Ultimate Death Knight is a very good is a good champion to bring into Hydra. He does have a taunt on his A1, which is very, very valuable. It's a 50% chance. If you build him in with accuracy, he will, there's a 50% chance he can taunt that main head. He's not the best champion for this, but he is an option that some of you may have as he was a free champion back in the day. Visix is a great option that everyone will eventually get for a provoke. It is only a one-turn provoke, so it is somewhat inconsistent, but if you are able to get her fast enough or able to get the it's on a 3-turn cooldown, so it's an option. You want to be able to try and taunt the head to reduce the opportunities that the head has to clear your debuffs. Nishak is one of the best damage dealers I've ever seen in Hydra, mostly because his bombs, even if they get removed, which is highly likely from the tauntable head. I don't remember the head's names, I'm sorry. He puts unremovable poisons onto most of the heads. Some of them are immune to poisons. For healers, Python is a great option. You just have to be careful that you don't give the enemy block debuffs. Lady Kimmy is very nice. She does bring decreased speed across the board, and she does give increased accuracy and speed to your team. And she does get turn meter and things like that. Shamil we'll talk about. I'll get down there. Tila Gourmain got a buff that makes her rather viable. So she applies her she has AoE HP burn. Now, one thing to note, this is predicated on a hit. So if she gets a weak hit on a target, she is not able to place that HP burn, which can be devastating. She also brings Hex. Now, that head, the one that was stealing my buffs, if under Hex, it cannot be. It has I think a 50% chance that if you go to attack it, you'll attack a different head. If it's under Hex, that effect will not happen. So that's guaranteeing that you'll be able to hit it. A great option for killing heads is going to be Newt. just because he does damage based on enemy max HP. He's very strong, just in general. And many of us have him from the fusion. We've already talked about Molly. She brings taunt. Again, this is a provoke debuff. There's no hit related to this, which means that it can't miss on a weak hit, which is very valuable. That's where some of these other taunters, like Ultimate Death Knight and Visix, come into play, where if they get a weak hit, um, they won't land that taunt. Molly doesn't have to worry about that. She also has a chance to make it on 2 turns on a 3 turn cooldown. And she's so fast that she'll end up getting, if she lands the 2 turn one, she'll end up getting it again before the head goes again. Drexstar is great for, again, he brings HP burn. He also brings provoke. Um, Especially on targets that are under HP burns, which is common because it's a great way to do damage in Hydra. Um, so it's 40% chance normally, buffable up to a 60% chance, but then 100% if they're under HP burn, which you'll likely bring in your comp. Syl is just a great healer and a reviver. You always want to bring a reviver because it's likely you'll have people that are going to die. Another great healer, again, is going to be Rector Drath. She brings great heals. The perfect veils cannot be stolen, so she'll be able to ensure her heals stay on. You do want to make sure she's relatively fast, but she is one of the stronger healers out there in the game, at least for my account. Vogoth is another great healer. Shamil we've talked about, so just to go over his passive, um, whenever an ally receives a Fear or True Fear buff, this skill will instantly remove the debuff and fill the ally's turn meter by 15%. Now, as I have seen it, that seems to only apply the speed buff to the starter instead of the individual champion, or at least that's how it looks to me when I use him. I haven't confirmed that. And when I say starter, I mean like your faction, your aura lead usually is the one that gets it. I found my Death Knight, who's usually my aura lead back in the day, would get many more turns when Shamil was getting procs. So I could be wrong about that. It could just be a visual bug, but that's how it looked to me. He also has ignored defense on his A2, and then his A1, um, he uses his A1 every time a debuff is placed on an ally. That includes the fears, and if there are multiple, and then a 50% chance of decreasing the duration of a random buff on the target by 1. Um, Demitha is a great champion as well that I do bring in Hydra quite a lot. However, because this is why I manual, because you don't want to give block damage to the enemy Hydra team. So you need to make sure that you plan ahead for that. Her A2 is one of the bigger heals that I've seen in the game. And it has done wonders for my team. I've done whole Hydra runs where I've just turned off the A3, and just used the A2 to heal my team up, and she out heals a lot of like Rector Drath and Pythion in that regard. Um, Seeker can be good. You got to build him the right way. You're going to want him stronger. My Seeker is very weak, so he usually just dies. But he does bring a 2 times chance for taunting, which taunting, we've talked in depth about it, but that's very valuable. Husk is a very, very common champion that's used for Hydra. He brings AoE, enemy max HP damage, and he brings a taunt, which is very, very valuable. You'll most likely just turn this off anytime you use him in that regard. Ugo is probably one of the best epics for Hydra. She brings a leech, which it's a single target, so maybe not the best, but generally you're focusing on one head at a time. So she will apply that leech, which will help keep your champions alive. She brings decreased defense, but also the most important is that she brings block buffs. By bringing block buffs, that head that was stealing my buffs, they will still remove the buffs from my champion, but they won't gain them onto themselves, and then therefore they can't spread them across the team, which is what makes Ugo so valuable. She also does bring a heal reduction removal, and then removing 1 random debuff from all allies. So kind of a mini cleanse, but the heal reduction part of it is nice. because they do, when heal reduction goes out, you can have champions that'll get destroyed because you just can't heal them. So if you don't have a cleanser, this is at least a viable option. She also does bring a revive if everyone on the team dies, but that's not ideal. You don't want to plan for that, but again, Ugo just flat out is a great champion to bring for that. Rask, everyone says Rask is a great healer. I understand how. I've never seen it. I've never had it happen. Godseeker is a great healer, reviver, and can decrease buffs on enemies as well as increase buffs on your team. Your starter champions, Kale, is going to be a good, if you're early game and need to bring someone, Kale's a great option. Cold Heart is an interesting. Apothecary is great pretty much anywhere. If you're looking for support, you're looking for heals, um, and speed. This is really gonna help speed up your Hydra team. So don't sleep on him. Cold Heart is an interesting option. So Cold Hearts are generally going to be relatively weak. Yes, she does bring enemy max HP attack. Her turn meter doesn't matter, and she does bring poisons too. People forget about this. She brings a 5% poison. Um, 30 placing. Oh, it's only if they're under heal reduction. I didn't realize that, but still, she does bring decreased accuracy, not as important. Heal reduction, not really as important. She doesn't bring as much in her kit. Now, I wouldn't really say like, oh yes, 100% bring a cold heart. But if you are looking for somebody that can burst down heads, bring her. Oh, we didn't talk about one of my favorite Hydra champions yet. This is Mordecai. Mordecai, he places, we've talked about this already, but he places HP burns. So by being able to place the HP burns, there's no need for a hit. You don't need to land a hit first. You just put them on there. So there's one head, the poison head is what I call him. He places a poison cloud on his other heads and himself, and that makes everything automatically a weak hit against them, and they are basically have a block debuffs, but it's not an actual block debuffs, but you're unable to debuff them. If the debuff is predicated on a hit. So the reason Mordecai is so valuable and why I love him so much is because he places his HP burn. So even if that cloud is up, he can then place the HP burn onto the heads. And why is that so good? The way cloud works is that the poison cloud debuff is on the heads, but they are under the effects of an HP burn. It cancels them out. So then you can still attack the champions and still land hits, provided they're under an HP burn, as if they were normal. So then you can then continue to debuff them as you previously were. So Mordecai is very valuable in that regard. Any champion that is able to place their abilities is very valuable, where they don't need to land a hit first. Geomancer is another great one, again, because he places this HP burn. Also, he's really good at single targeting heads. So I use him in my second team. On my second team, I'll bring Geomancer and place this on the head that I want to die. And you have to be careful. You got to make sure you bring a taunt, or you're planning his rotation around the buff removal of the head that can be taunted. But you want to bring him, and he will basically, all of the damage that Hydra puts out will kill the one head that you have this on very, very quickly because of his passive. Geomancer is a broken character, not broken, but Geomancer is an incredibly strong character and always valuable to bring in almost any content, but he is good for Hydra. Now, some of the other champions that I have down here that I don't use, just because I don't have them leveled. I know Trunda is really, really good in Hydra. She's going to be one of the next champions that I decide to level up for that reason, and that's because I think it's her. No. Type then and then attacks all other enemies with a second hit, dealing 60% of the damage inflicted from the first hit. So Trunda can, because that's 60% of the damage inflicted from the first hit. If you use her to target one of the heads that's dead. I believe I haven't done. There's videos on this, so you can look it up yourself as to why she's so good. But if you use this ability, I think she just does insane amounts of damage to the other heads because you do way more damage to a head that has been popped, right? There are many other champions, probably some of them that I have, down here, that are going to be really good for you. I just have not used them and therefore don't necessarily want to vouch for them too much because I could be wrong. But I do know that um oh man, I was just looking at them. Where did they go? Oh yeah, Calvalax is going to be good. He's going to bring poisons. Poisons are less effective late game in Hydra, but he does bring poisons and a lot of damage that comes with those poisons. So anytime you're considering that, um, those are things that you're gonna want, ways to poison champions and stuff like that. You're gonna want supports. You're gonna want cleansers. So, um, who's the rare reliquary tender? I think is her name. She's a rare. I don't have her at the moment because I feed her when I get her. But, um, if you can find cleansers, you'll get value there. Mithrala is really good, which is why I'm saying like if you can focus on Mithrala early on in Hydra to better your team. Also, don't sleep on ally attackers. Ally attackers are very valuable. When your team gets eaten, you can use your ally attackers to counter that. Like, oh, okay, one of my team members got eaten by this head. Hey, I'm going to ally attack it. I'm going to ally attack it. And you'll burn that head down. Also, because a lot of the champions that have taunts on their A1s, um, like UDK and Husk, um, you want to get multiple chances at their A1s to go off, meaning that you're going to want to use ally attackers to get those to go off. But that's kind of the gist of it. My recommendation is not to try and build three good Hydra teams. My recommendation is to build one good Hydra team, and then you learn, you improve, you say, okay, this head beat me. How do I counter it? Next time you use a different champion to try and counter it. Um, and then eventually you'll have that one team that you're really happy with, and then you can work on your second team, and then you can work on your third team. But the main thing is you want to have one good team right out the gate. So generally, what I did last week was I had my good team do a Hydra Brutal. I was able to one key it. I think I did like 40 million, I think. And then thankfully I was able to, I think, one key hard and then one key easy. I don't remember for sure what I did, but you just want to make sure that you're being smart about where you're using your keys. So like notice that nobody did hard this week, and I'll say this, like this was a one key on normal. If you're doing 36 million on normal, you should be doing hard with this team. This is a good team. Nekmothar is a great Hydra champion. Newt is a great Hydra champion. You got your cleanser, you got your block debuffs, your support with unkillable, and then Artak is, we already talked about him, right? But this is a great team that should be doing hard. Maybe not brutal because brutal one key is 30 million and you're only hitting that here in normal. But on hard, you only need to hit 20 million. So you're sacrificing 10 million to do hard. At least try it and then don't save the key if you didn't get the max chest. But you want to be getting the highest possible chest on the difficulties. The fact that nobody did hard is a little concerning. If you're down here doing 3 key with 2.3 million, this is where you're supposed to be. Good job, Crypto CPA. Good job, Ice Milk. This is where you guys are supposed to be. You're getting those novice chests. You're going to work your way up to Mithrala, who's going to really open up some more content for you guys. Um, but if you're up here doing 3 keys for only 900, like you gained nothing this week. You don't get anything. You don't even get Hydra Clash points because you have to hit a minimum of these values to be able to get these chests. And so you're just wasting your keys and hurting yourself for very little gain to the clan in the first place. I don't think we're not gonna lose this by um, you know, for 400k. You know what I mean? We're gonna lose it by a couple million. So don't hurt yourselves and because you think you're benefiting the clan or anything like that. Oh man, Bonk, I'm sorry to see that you were a little short on that one key here on Brutal, but just unlucky. Man, even with Shamil, I wonder what happened with your team that you were so unlucky. Um, well, you need to be bringing Brimstone, friend. I would bring Brimstone on Mission Naki, for sure. I understand why you have her in Polymorph. That's for PvP. You got to do what you got to do. Molly could probably be in Brimstone. I don't know what this one. This is the revival one. Do you use her in PvP? Because isn't that uh, a PvP blessing? And then if you're using Newt in PvP, then yeah, you want to have the Grim Reaper uh, scythe ability, but other than that, I don't see why you would want that. And then I would even have Geomancer probably in something other than Phantom Touch. So there's definitely some changes that could be made here to probably squeeze out a little bit extra damage, but lots of things that can be done. There's that's why we're here. That's why we work together to try and find out those ways to help each other improve. So I do apologize for the length of this video, but I really hope it was helpful for you guys to kind of get a better understanding of Hydra and where you need to be using your keys. Um, Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.